Liverpool, the defending champions of the English Premier League, have lost back-to-back games. Crystal Palace defeated Liverpool by 2-1 in the English Premier League last weekend, and during the course of the midweek, Galatasaray defeated Liverpool by 0-0 in the UEFA Champions League. You ask yourself, what is happening? Of course, it's another brand new edition of The Big Question with Oluwafemi Aremu. And of course, on today's edition, we are diving deep into Liverpool's season and what are the chances of them securing, or rather defending, the English Premier League title. Of course, for Liverpool and Slot, it's going to be a big season ahead of them. And of course, on today's edition, I will be giving you reasons why I think it's going to be difficult for Liverpool to defend the English Premier League title. And of course, possibly end the season without winning any trophy after spending a lot of money during the transfer window. Of course, Liverpool entered the 2025-2026 season as the defending champions under Slot, and of course, having clinched the 2024-2025 title with a dominant run, which saw them losing just 2 games. This season is going to be a different story entirely, as of course, they've lost 1 game in the English Premier League so far against Crystal Palace. Now, these are the reasons why I think it's going to be very difficult for Liverpool to defend their English Premier League title this season. When you look at Liverpool's backline, of course, it was pivotal for them last season, in which they secured the English Premier League. But of course, this season, it has been very leaky, as you might want to put it. You might say it's just few games into the season, but this campaign definitely, I believe Liverpool will concede a lot of high quality goals, especially when they go against high quality transition opponents. Of course, it's going to be very difficult for Liverpool to resist that. In their recent Champions League loss to Galatasaray, of course, you look at errors from Ibrahim Konate, which seems to me that a team that wants to win the English Premier League does not make errors like that with a world-class defender. Of course, the likes of Virgil van Dijk is already 34 years old. Ibrahim Konate is also there, but when you look at the depth in the centre-back position, it tells you a lot that for Liverpool to be able to win the English Premier League this season, they need a lot of depth in that particular area. Of course, you might argue that there are depth, or rather there's depth in Liverpool's squad, but hey, the defensive side is there in depth when you look at centre-back's position. Of course, last season, Liverpool conceded 42 goals and they won the English Premier League. For a champion to concede 42 goals, that is really terrible if you ask me defensively. Well, that is my number one reason I think defensively, Liverpool have been shaky and they've been leaky this season thus far with what I've seen. Secondly, injury crisis might be a lot of problem for many teams, not only Liverpool this season. But when you look at injuries that are pulling up at this very critical junction of the season, of course, you might say it's just few matches into the season, but every match is critical if at all you want to defend your English Premier League title. The likes of Alisson Becker, of course, which is going to force in a goalkeeper that his name is even strange to pronounce into the Liverpool starting lineup. Of course, Alisson has been ruled out due to hamstring injury. Possible return date has to be mid-November 2025. Of course, Mark Allister is also out due to injury, ankle injury. Of course, he has not been stable this season thus far. He's going to be out probably to mid-October. A lot of injuries. Federico Chiesa is also there. And not forgetting that as the season goes on, injury will keep coming up. So I think injury might be another hindrance to Liverpool defending their title. Even though some will say that Liverpool made a lot of recruitments during the transfer summer window. Well, time will definitely tell. Of course, one reason again, which I think is very important, has to be the tactical imbalance and Slot adaptation struggles. Of course, last season, Slot was able to manage the tactics, he was able to balance and adapt well. Of course, we saw Jurgen Klopp leaving a very well-balanced team for Arne Slot. All he needed to do was make the right selection and everything worked out for him last season. But hey, Arne Slot has brought in new players. He has brought in new players this season. Of course, it's about time for him to bring in his own tactical balance and of course to be able to adapt with these players, to make sure that these players adapt into his style. Of course, when you look at the style he's been playing recently, narrower defensive line, Virgil van Dijk's increased build-up role. But look at fullbacks like Jeremy Frimpong, who is very good when it comes to attacking. Of course, Keke is also very poor defensively. These are liabilities, while you look at the likes of a true number 6, talking about for Liverpool when it comes to the midfield. Gravenberch excels in terms of transition, but not anchoring. So all the games Liverpool have played this season shows over reliance on late goals, especially when you look at Liverpool having 4 winners after 80 minutes this season. Of course, that is definitely unsustainable for a champion. For Liverpool, it's not sustainable for them if at all they want to defend the English Premier League this season. And one thing again that I think is very important has to be the competition and fixture conjunction. Of course, Arsenal owed a very big card this season in terms of squad depth, in terms of deeper squad also, while Manchester City rebounds from Rodri's absence also might be a boost for them. And for Chelsea, they locked under Enzo Maresca, even though it seems not to be up there with the big boys. But I think this competition and fixture conjunction definitely is going to be a big say in this title race. As of course, you look at the deeper squad of Arsenal, you look at the deeper squad of Manchester City. Not saying there's no that deep squad in Liverpool, but these players haven't blended in. Of course, probably with time, they will give in their best. And of course, also when you look at key players who are not on form currently for Liverpool, and aging core, Mohamed Salah, of course, is out of form. No goal, no assist in the last 2 games, while Virgil van Dijk, also you look at him at the age of 34, is looking washed, sorry to say, but he's at the talisman for Liverpool, showing cracks. And of course, Salah pace has reduces, of course, which reduces the possibility of them excelling in terms of counter-attacking threat. So without Salah, so it is safe to say that without a Salah bailout, Liverpool attacks definitely stall. Integrating big money summer signing like Alexander Isak and also Florian Wirtz, they need to step up. They haven't gelled yet. So possibly as time goes on, if they gel into the team, the story might change for Liverpool. But as of now, Liverpool and Slots need a miracle in order for them to be able to gel. Also, let me just say, in summary, Liverpool's late drama wins has marked deeper issue, of course, and a fragile defense as well. Injury toll is there and tactical tweaks. Of course, they could still grind out a top 4 finish. Of course, nobody's writing them out, but retaining the title feels like a stretch with Arsenal or City, who looks like a better equipped side for a long haul. If Slot addresses depth in January, especially at the centre-back position, definitely this narrative might just flip. Otherwise, expect a trophyless defense of the crown for Liverpool. What's your take concerning this? Do you think Liverpool can still win the English Premier League this season? Of course, it's still early into the season. But of course, the big question for the day has to be, can Liverpool defend the English Premier League title this season? And will they go a trophyless season this season?